So keep going on the mummy activity, you know, peeling off the pieces of tape. You could do them long enough to wrap, but I think you get more fine motor exercise in the activity if you have them tear off multiples, even though handling the tape would be a really good manipulation activity as well. But if you keep tearing off the pieces of tape and you just keep adding them, and so I'm tearing and adding, tearing and adding. So you just kind of keep going. And see, you can have them tear one long piece, because sometimes finding the piece of tape on the tape roll is the longest part of the activity or the skill. So then they can take it from the long piece and do maybe a better job of judging what length they need when they're putting it down on their mummy. And so I'm just going to keep peeling off the tape. And see, I have to use a fingernail, and sometimes you don't have a fingernail. That's hard. It's hard not to. See, I have to just use the tip of your finger. And so I think I like pulling the tape off in a longer strip like this. And then the only problem is then it starts to stick to stuff. So then I have my mummy here. And you see I'm having to use my elbow to stabilize because my hand is holding the tape. I'm gonna bring this down just a little bit so we can see. Yep, there we go. So see, I just want to fill up all of the orange. Too bad painter's tape doesn't come in black. Then that might be kind of cool. So let's see, I am just putting this down. I think I'm gonna like wrap the bottom of the toe. But you can see how much my hands are having to work to pull it off, to get it done. And this will take the kids a little while to do. But, you know, every time I bring out the masking tape, they're always so excited. They get to play with tape. It's kind of a funny thing. I remember my daughter when she was about 2 or 3, she got into the Scotch tape. I should probably post the picture somewhere online. But she ended up doing her own facial mummy where she put the tape all over her face. And I asked her, what are you doing? And she's like, I'm a mummy. So that's also kind of what gave me the idea of doing a tape mummy, because they just like to play. They like to play with what they see their mom and dad using and playing with. Staplers, the pens, the markers. They don't want to use just the kid ones. For some reason, they always like the adult ones. They want the big scissors. They don't want the little scissors. So if you look at the pinch, the manipulation, let's see. And see, this one I'm going to be tearing up in small pieces to be putting it down. And the pinch skills, you know, tearing is a skill because a lot of them just want to pull, and you have to do a push-pull. One has to be pushing and one has to be pulling. And that is something that I have to show a lot of my kids, is pinching with both, and you're using a pad to pad and then pulling it apart. So so you just keep filling it up until your mummy is totally covered. And so now I'm going to do a little long ways. That's even a harder skill. It takes a little more coordination, a little more practice. And when we're talking about practice, the true way that you gain any motor skill, I mean, like, how many times do you think these pitchers have thrown a pitch? How many times have they batted? How many times has a quarterback thrown a football? Practice his grip, the angle, his arm, his footwork, any type of motor activity. And that includes our kids' motor activity. It's all about practice. That's why play is so important, because then the kids, you know, they're playing, but they're developing those skills. And that's the best way for kids to develop their skills, is through play, because then they're working, but they don't really know they're working, which is always kind of my favorite way to do therapy, is that they don't realize that they're working. So I'm almost finished with my mummy, and it's important that you start incorporating letter, number, printing practice, because the number one way that a child's printing improves is through repetitive practice, over and over and over again. And I think that's probably the key, is just repetitive practice, and then kind of knowing the right way to practice. You know, practicing something the wrong way, you just learn bad habits. And then in the different kinds of pencil grips, they just learned it in a bad way. So, not a bad way, but in a way that isn't the most efficient. So now, using these broken crayons, I love broken crayons, and I chose this nice green, and so we're gonna do the eyes. There we go. And mummies don't have noses, so let's go. And then we're just gonna do another circle. So, and I like using the broken crayons because it moves it to the tips, and you're using the distal part of your fingers when you're doing it. So, there's addition to the mummy. Oh, and let's write our name on the back. Let's see, Ms. Oh, you know what? A Z upside down and backwards is always hard for me. And I think I did it wrong. Okay, that's all right. The only way you learn is when you go through your mistakes. Miss Kathy. Let's see, I'm using my hand to stabilize. O-T. There we go. Y'all have a great day.